All right, I look a little rough because I'm here on a Saturday trying to get some stuff done, but I wanted to make sure that I made a video that kind of went over this particular essay. All right, so I'm going to jump straight into writing a 6-page essay to kind of help us out for the next 2 weeks. I believe we'll be working on this essay. So first week was just getting our ideas together, and then we're going to spend a couple weeks that all I really want to do is just give us time to write this essay. I don't really want to give us much else to do except for write this essay. So let me share my screen. Where did I go? Let me share my screen. And we're going to jump into, I don't remember exactly what I shared last time, so if I repeat myself, then I apologize. When we look at the time, I try not to make this more than 15, 20 minutes. And so that is not the screen that am I here? No, that's not what I wanted either. Okay, here, this is what I wanted. Let me view this as a student so I know what you see. All right, so we're in the argumentative research essay, and all that we have talked about, and all the sources that you've used, and all that the birthmark, the social dilemma, the influencer, all that can spill over into this essay. That's kind of what I want for. That's what I kind of want to happen. And so we're going to work on a 4 to 6 page argumentative essay. That really that argues anything that you want to talk about. So I have all this stuff here. I know I went over this, but we have all these ideas here that you can use in your essay. And so we also have a discussion board that hopefully we've done, where it looks at the thesis. Okay, good. So a lot of people, I hope, can get that grade in, but a lot of these students have done this discussion board because these thesis statements are meant to help us, are meant to help us to create a thesis statement and an idea for our essay. So today I kind of want to talk about, well, how do you write a larger essay like that? So I'm going to pause this real quick, and there's something that I want to open. So give me just a moment. All right, so let's take a look at this image here, and I can get this over to you guys also. But take a look at this image here, right? So here we have the image of a 3-point thesis-driven essay. Right. And so we have an introduction that's pretty broad, and it narrows down, and then we have we have this is where we describe our commercial that we want to use, or you can describe social dilemma. This is like a description for information that your reader might want to read, right? And so I actually really want to type on this, but anyway. And then we have each body paragraph contains a point where we make a point. Then we support that point. And then we make our second point. We support that point. We're supposed to have learned this in Comp 1. And so our literary analysis are kind of showing where a couple students may not have learned that for each body paragraph. I have some students who would be like, I liked the scientist. Well, that's not a point. Like, we want to start with the scientist is a misogynistic or something like we want to have an actual point there, not I liked this person. I liked that person. I didn't like this. Those aren't points. We want to start each body paragraph with a point and support that point. All right. And so that's again, that's something we should have learned in Comp 1, but we can still dive into in Comp 2. But so each body paragraph begins with a point, and we support that point. Well, the way to expand this from a 2.5, 3-page essay is usually where we arrive at this 3-point thesis-driven essay. Well, we still want a 3-point thesis-driven essay, or you can do a holistic thesis like a lot of those are. But the way to do that is instead of having a body paragraph where we make a point and then we support that point in a paragraph, you can make these into 2 paragraphs, right? You can make these into, let's see, I want to be able to expand this. This is Word. Anyway, I want to be able to write on this, where if you think about it, what does that do? And let's see. Where's my ribbon here? I want my ribbon back. There we go. So we want to be able to, let me insert a shape. So think about it like this. Think about it like I have one body paragraph, or one point, but it's in 2 body paragraphs, right? Same thing with our introduction. So this is kind of what I teach in my Comp 2 class. is come back. So insert. So think about it like this also. We can have two introductions. Some of these can have two body paragraphs, and you're like, well, what do you mean by two introductions? I'm going to go over that here in just a moment. And so some of these, it doesn't have to be all three of them, maybe the bottom where we have two paragraphs because our point is so broad that we need to expand it into two body paragraphs. And I do have some really well-written essays from some Comp 2 students who just turned them in. And so I'm going to upload a couple example essays in that also. But I tell my Comp 2 students to, let me type on here. I want to go insert and page box. No, not draw, insert. You're in the way. Text box. There we go. So I need to like the full screen here. Position, text wrap. In front of text. There we go. Right. So I like to shape fill, no fill. There we go. Right. So now I can write in this. But for, let's say for the introductions, I begin with personal experience. Then narrow to an intro. So, for instance, if I'm going to talk about, I don't really want to bring in abusive relationships. Let's say I talk about instant gratification, right? I just had a false sense of identity. That's a good one too. So let's say I'm going to talk about this false sense of security, this false sense of identity, instant gratification. I'm going to start with talking about myself. I hope it moved with me. I'm going to begin with my own personal experience with instant gratification, my own personal experience with depression and instant gratification, right? And I'm going to begin a first introduction that's about how I relate to what I'm discussing here. And then as I move through my body paragraphs, I'm going to bring that personal experience back, right? So I'm going to use it as support for the points that I make. So I'm going to begin with what's an example here? I know the ones that I began with just dealing with insecurity, like begin with the fact that I deal with insecurity. I deal with not looking like the families who I see on social media. And I do that. I mean, here we go. Here's my personal experience. So here's what I would begin with. When I turned 30, I want to spell those out. When I turned 30, I saw on Facebook how so many friends, wish I could type, had families of their own. Right. So that's how I'm going to begin. When I turned 30, I saw on Facebook how so many of my friends had families of their own. They were going on vacation. They were, buying houses. They were doing what families do. I had a hard time turning 30 because I met my husband when I turned 30. It's an awesome story. I met him. He is 7 years older than me. He had been through a divorce. He wasn't ready to get, remarried. I had to wait for him. Anyway, and so when I turned 31, we learned that we were going to have a little girl and we were married and all that. But when I turned 30, I was looking on social media and on Facebook and having just a really hard time in life because I was turning 30 and I wasn't married. I didn't have a boyfriend. It was just hard on me to turn 30. And Facebook made it so much harder because, again, I was looking into other people's lives and comparing them to my own life. And that is how I would begin my uh, that's how I would begin my essay. And I know I've had a lot of students in the past go, oh, you're not supposed to use first person in Comp 2. You're not. And technically, that's how I used to teach. I used to say no first person whatsoever. But thanks to AI and, AI generated essay and whatnot, we like to see other English teachers and I like to see personal experience in essays because we know it's yours. We know that's one of the main ways to combat AI, just generated ideas, is to see your idea. And then as I keep on going, so my second introduction, so I have a first introduction that's all about me and my experience, right? And I can transition into social media, having these false sense of security. Because even if I would have looked into other people's lives and whatnot, you'll see that they're not perfect. But that's what I'm going to talk about here. My second introduction is going to be along the lines of, social media um, expands or whatever these expands. Not I don't think it creates, but it hinders depression rates. I'm going to have a second introduction where I'm really getting into the bulk of my essay. But I'm going to begin with me. I'm going to begin with my personal experience. And I'm going to go down into, of course, I have a couple of students who have given me permission to let them use their essays that they just turned in my 16-week class to use. And I got some really good stuff from those students. And so I'll upload a couple example essays here in just a moment. But right, my second introduction is going to get into that. And then some of these body paragraphs, the point can be so broad that I need two paragraphs to expand that. And I want to make sure that I want to make sure that my, I forgot what I was saying there. Sorry. Make a broad point that needs my personal experience develops that, it supports that. So make a broad point that needs two paragraphs to discuss. Right, paragraphs. What did I do wrong? PHS. Right, then we need two paragraphs to discuss. So we make a point at the beginning of one, and then our second body paragraph just continues to support. Maybe it's like has a sub point to it, continues to support that. And so here in a minute, I'll open up an example essay, but that is how you expand a thesis-driven three-point essay into 6 pages instead of just 2 pages. And that's all that we're doing for 2 weeks. The next 2 weeks is just write this essay. That we do have a blending tutorial that makes our sources talk to one another, right? Oh, and then that commercial I brought in, like a Tide commercial, that shows the perfect family. So not only do I have, like, and I'm going to put this in social media, and then I'm going to put social media. Oh, so we see this perfect family all around us. That's what I was going to say. So that target audience is not people and everyone. So we were talking about using first person a moment ago. I want to make sure that I say young women or, women approaching middle age, young to middle-aged women. That's the target audience, young women, young to middle-aged women. I'm going to use that target audience, not people and everyone and everybody. I'm going to use that, right? So we see the perfect family. We see this perfect family all around us. Even commercials display perfect young families. And then, for instance, a Tide commercial, or for instance, that Ram commercial shows kind of the young man point of view, being a single young man, and that stereotype of being on the adventure. And this is who you're supposed to be if you're an unmarried young man, right? So we have that stereotype there in that Ram commercial. And so we can kind of look at those also. I don't want to make a video that's too long, but I also want to make sure I'm covering a lot of stuff. All right, so here's my first introduction. I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about how I relate to what I'm discussing. I get into a second introduction that talks about seeing perfect families all around us. Even commercials display these perfect young families. Social media, hinders that depression rates, or actually uplifts the depression rates. And you can write something that's positive. You have a lot of positive essays. And then here since I'm going to talk about that commercial a whole lot, this is where I'm going to describe the commercial. I'm going to make points that are so broad that they need two paragraphs to explain them. And then my introduction, I just kept it as one intro. You could split that into two, not introductions, I'm sorry, two conclusions also, right? So you can split that into two as well. But I'll put that. I'm going to pause this, open up an example essay, and kind of go over a little bit of how a student did that. and maybe even talk about some of the things in the commercials. So I'm trying to hurry. I apologize if it's a lot. I'm trying to make a video that helps us, and then I'll kind of type up on our Brightspace a little more to help us. Pause this. All right, here's a great example. Let's see, make sure that's. Oh, nope, sorry. It's wrong student. That's the one I'm grading. Sorry, Jamon. Um, there we go. All right. Your screen sharing is paused. Well, that's good because I didn't want to share that anyway. All right, we're good now? All right. So here we have why less is more on social media. Recently, I bought a meal for an older couple at McDonald's, but I chose not to share the experience on social media. In a world where posting every moment online has become second nature, it is easy to fall into the trap of seeking external validation. Right? So this is just her. We often find ourselves documenting even the smallest act of kindness, and then we go into a second introduction. In an era dominated by digital interactions, the decision to keep an act of kindness private carries significant emotional weight, right? So, I mean, she has two introductions here, and then we go into a first point. Sharing acts of kindness on platforms like Instagram and Snapchat can sometimes shift the focus from the act itself to the attention it receives. So great point, right? She's making a point here and then supporting that. Um, and then she's supporting it again. This is a second body paragraph where she's supporting her first body paragraph by choosing not to share my own. I persevered the authenticity of the moment and prioritize the emotional connection established with the person I helped. I mean, great, fantastic essay, very well written. Um, right, very well written essay to where again she has two introductions. Her first introduction just talks about a small act of kindness. The second one got into this Instagram idea, how it hurts to seek that validation whenever we don't get it or whenever anyway, that so anyway, and then she goes into a point, right? Shifts this is what happens when we do it. This is what I thought about when I did it. I mean, just again, these points where I can upload this one and upload others, but I think I love this. In a fast-paced, technology-driven world, acts of kindness often get overshadowed by the noise of social media. Fantastic. Point again, another point there. And then consider the impact of small gestures like holding the door, offering or simply listening to a friend in need. It's kind of that's that second person you consider, but it's okay, right? Still a great point that she's using to support this point up here. It's a 5 page, went into page 5. Here's all of her sources. Very well written Comp 2 essay. Very good Comp 2 essay where the reason why I like this one so much and why I wanted to share this one is because the student is learning about herself. That is my goal of Comp 2, that we're not just of Comp 1 and Comp 2, that we are not just learning about how to write an essay, but we're also reflecting on our own selves, where we're learning about our ethos, our identity as a student, that academic identity, right? This is who I am becoming. I'm becoming a person who I like. Becoming a person through college and whatnot. I'm becoming someone who I like. So I'm going to upload that one, but that's just what I wanted to show us really quickly is this idea of, you know, this, just like this, we have two introductions. We have I don't think she had a descriptive paragraph, but that's okay. And I don't know if she had a commercial, but that's all right. It still has the two body paragraph, or the two introductions, 2 points here, 2 points here. Not, I'm sorry, I keep not 2 points, 1 point, but supported twice, 1 point supported by two body paragraphs, 1 point supported by two body paragraphs, right? And so if she would have had a commercial and had that description here where she found that small act of kindness in a commercial, I mean, she's still going to do really well on the essay, by the way. I mean, um, but I'll put that in there and have her revise it just because makes it better. But if she would have had that commercial and did a description here, she would have went well into that 5th page if she would have described her commercial. So again, this is where I would describe a Tide commercial, the extra gum, whatever commercial shows that stereotypical perfect young family. I would describe it here. All right, so there's all that. Now I want to shift over to, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to try to type this up also because I know we have different types of learners. But I'm going to shift it over to our uh, commercials also. So there's our thesis discussion. Hope that's helping you create a thesis. And then we have these Super Bowl commercials, right? And we have these. So for instance, let's look at the Ram truck commercial. So I don't know where I am. If I'm not on here, then I'm not sharing. Share screen. All right. Now it says you are sharing. So let's look at this Ram truck commercial. Crazy commercial. I love this commercial. Eat my pizza.
His wife Charger. Next, he took the Ram Charger deep into the woods to flex his artistic muscles. Then he fired up the Ram RHO for a little joyride.
All right, I don't know if y'all just heard that, but the kids yell out Uncle Glenn. So to me, that goes into the stereotypical uncle who is adventurous, not ready to get tied down yet, not ready to have his own children yet, but still loves his family as he's babysitting his niece and nephew, who just look absolutely perfect, right? And they're in a beautiful house. Look, they've got their stars in the background. He's got his, I don't know what the heck that is, but he's got some kind of stuffed animal that he's holding. They're wearing their cute little pajamas. There's this going on in the background.
This is my.
So here we have, again, just look around the bedroom here where they're yelling. And here's of course the guy from Twisters. I don't know his name. I'm not that up to date. But they said this is supposed to be about three bears, and he says, "This is my story." I'll continue to play it. But look at things like this, right? This is the perfect house. Here's the stereotypical handsome stay at home, not stay at home, I'm sorry, the stereotypical handsome adventurous uncle type who again loves his family. There's a lot of stereotypes going on here. And this is where if that's you and you don't meet the stereotype, but you're a young man, you're not married, you're not adventurous, you don't have a Ram truck or whatever truck you want, right? How does that make you feel to see the stereotype, right? So we see this stereotype on social media also, right? How many of us have seen the father working out all the time, trying to build himself up, trying to be buff, trying to be adventurous, even being the dad, Glenn Powell, I guess that's who that is. Anyway, I just looked up and saw that name. Right? So they're using stereotypes in the commercial, and whenever we're constantly fed these stereotypes, what does that do to our mentality? When we're not only fed it in social media, online, in movies, in even Twisters. If I was to write about this commercial, I would also bring in the movies Twisters. You'd have a really well-developed essay about stereotypes and young men and who they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to act if we brought in both this commercial and Twisters and seeing it on social media. I mean, just say that we are, and then having your own personal experience, right? So let's keep on going because it's a funny commercial.
The bears were there.
It's funny.
They all lived happily ever after. Sort of.
And the 80s hair band in the background. Like there's just a lot of stereotypes going on there. Escape. I didn't want to do that. Let me go back. All right, so there's a lot of stuff going on there. All right, let's go back. So a lot of these have. I'm not going to go over through every one of these. You're more than welcome to look through these commercials, see which one you might want to use. But I do want to see us use a commercial in her essay. And the example, the one that I brought up a moment ago, I was just trying to find one that had two introductions, but I will definitely bring it. Am I sharing my screen again? Drives me crazy. Share the screen. So the one that I brought up a while ago, I'll definitely have her bring in a commercial that shows these little acts of kindness also, because it just supports that we are surrounded by this idea and it's carrying over into social media. That commercialism is carrying over. Right. So look over these commercials. Let me know if you have any questions. But these next 2 weeks, that's all I want us to do. This is all that I want us to do. Again, I have a lot of essays to grade. So if you are having a hard time, if you really want me to look over what you're working on, I don't at all mind. I love to help. But if you're doing okay, you don't have to upload any kind of draft or outline, because I really can't get to them while I'm trying to grade all these essays. Unless again, it's I'm having a hard time. Can you please look at my outline? And then I will definitely look at, what you have so far. But work on this thesis discussion and let it help you create your own thesis statement. And then, and don't, it's Saturday, we've got Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So students who wait until close to Tuesday, I mean, I know we have quite a few who've done it. Thank you for the students who have done it by Saturday, but it's been up there for a little while. And so again, if you start getting a little close to Tuesday and it's Monday night and you haven't done it yet, I mean, by like Monday morning, that's whenever I kind of check off who's done it, and you don't get as many, you don't get as many points as the ones who didn't wait till the last minute to, Monday night to get on here and do it. Right. So make sure you get that done. I'm going to look at what your guys say for that too. But work on outlining an essay, work on writing your essays, and again, use these thesis statements to help you create your own essays. Use this. I'm going to make it a little bit better here in just a moment and upload that. Let me share this screen. Yep, that one right there. Use this type of outline to help you, have two introductions where you're talking about yourself and then you're transitioning into, the deeper idea that you see here, where you describe the commercial that you want to use. You summarize the commercial so I don't have to go out and watch it. You don't have to sit and summarize it a whole lot in every body paragraph. Create points where you have to have two paragraphs to support that broad point, or you go into a little bit more of your maybe you have a really good point and you're talking about where we see it in Social Dilemma, where we see it, and then you want to bring yourself into a little bit more, have your personal story afterwards. I mean, however that helps you to break these up. But that's what we're doing for 2 weeks. We are working on this right here, and we're using you just have a discussion board each week, discussion and write your essay. So if we get to the end of the 2 weeks and a lot of students are, oh, I don't have my essay done, I'm going to say, I didn't give you much to do except for to write an essay. So I kind of uphold y'all to those due dates a lot more, especially since we have 2 weeks left of class. And we have just our final is just like a 1 page, my academic identity anyway. Don't worry too much about that last essay. But I do I do expect students who enroll in an accelerated Comp 2 class. I kind of have a little bit higher expectations for you, because by enrolling in an accelerated course, you are saying I'm an accelerated student. Like I can be the accelerated student. I know how to write. I know how to form those points. But again, I didn't really see it from every student. A lot of students from the literary analysis essay showed me that they can make a point and support it using, first or third person only, no second person, that they can meet the those writing abilities that you're supposed to learn in Comp 1. But a few students really didn't show. I mean, I would kind of say maybe you should stray from a couple students. I would say maybe you should stray from accelerated courses and stay in those 16-week courses. Because again, if you're like, I like Georgiana, I like her because that's not a point, and we want to make a point and support those points. And I've had a couple students who, maybe three or so students who that's kind of was their point was, well, I like this person, or I enjoyed reading about this person. Well, okay, well, that's really irrelevant. I don't mean to be mean. I don't. It's just that's not academic writing. Academic writing is where we make a point and we support a point about Georgiana, or we support a point about the other, everyone in the birthmark, right? So I'll be grading those here in just a moment, trying to get that grade back to you, and so you can use those comments on those essays to spill over into these essays. All right, well, I'm sure that went over, so I'm going to stop share, exit. Let me know if you need some help. I'm going to upload a couple things to help you write this essay as we move forward.